one. Good evening. My name is Julianne Hofer, and I am the proud Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services here in the Ocean View School District. And we are super excited to talk tonight here in a little while about our pre-kindergarten programs that are available for your children for this next year. We'll get started here in just a minute. Once again, good evening. I can see the participant number increasing as we go. So some folks are still logging on. My name is Julianne Hofer. I'm the Assistant Superintendent here in the Ocean View School District, and we will get started here in just a minute. For those of you that are looking for interpretation in Spanish, if you click on the little picture that says interpretation and go to Spanish, we have our Spanish interpreter with us tonight. So I think it's 6:02. We'll go ahead and get started. Good evening. My name is Julianne Hofer, and I have the privilege of serving as the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services here in the Ocean View School District. And I'm thrilled so many of you have joined us for our pre-kindergarten parent information meeting tonight. If you are just joining us, I just want to point out that we do have interpretation services in Spanish. And if you click on the little interpretation icon, as we move through the presentation tonight, you'll be able to have interpretation in Spanish. Also, you will see a Q&A on your toolbar. If you have questions tonight, drop those questions right in that Q&A, and we'll be addressing questions at the midpoint of the presentation and again at the end of the presentation. We want to make sure that we answer your questions, that you walk away with a deeper understanding of all the options that you have tonight. So tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about our preschool and elementary schools here in Ocean View. We'll explain the options within the Universal Pre-Kindergarten program that does include both transitional kindergarten that we call TK and preschool. We'll talk about kindergarten or TK, choosing the best fit for your family, because families, we do value choice and option here in Ocean View, and we want to make sure that you get the best fit for your family. And then we'll talk a little bit about how to enroll, if where you want to attend is not your neighborhood school, how to go about it, submitting a transfer. And then once again, we're here to answer your questions. So we do provide preschool at 3 of our schools: College View, Oakview, and Westmont. Additionally, we have 10 elementary schools that provide transitional kindergarten and kindergarten. Kindergarten is at every site. Transitional kindergarten is based on enrollment. So it's at most of our sites. And we're just going to start off with a little video so you can get a glimpse on what our schools look like. Fantastic. And now Director Hickman, our Director of Teaching and Learning, is going to provide a little more information about defining universal pre-kindergarten programs.
Thank you. So this next slide does identify what our pre-kindergarten programs are. You might be wondering, yeah, exactly, what are they and what do they share in common? So our pre-kindergarten program is an opportunity to better prepare students for kindergarten. Our programs offer a developmentally appropriate curriculum and focus on building school readiness skills and both social, emotional, and academic skills as well. We also offer in Ocean View preschool programs that are tuition-based and or state-funded, as well as transitional kindergarten, which we refer to as TK. Both the transitional kindergarten and preschool programs, they're based on the guidance of the California Preschool Learning Foundation's framework and standards. And the foundations really describe the knowledge and skills, the competencies that children typically attain around age 48 and 60 months. And that is the age when they participate in a high quality preschool program with adequate and quality support. On the next slide, I'm proud to say that, wait a second, thank you, that Ocean View, so on the next slide, that Ocean View, well, what does this mean? Okay, so Ocean View School District, our preschool and transitional kinder program, we use the same frameworks, we use the same standards and curriculum to support your child's academic and social emotional development. And I'm proud to say that Ocean View School District provides families with quality, robust kindergarten programs, and both the preschool and the transitional kindergarten program, they are developmentally appropriate for the age of the children. They focus more on the process of learning and less on the product. So it's about the interaction of learning and less on the outcome. They both provide children time for them to mature by honoring their developmental pace and then their progression of learning. We also have amazing teachers. So our programs are taught by high quality teachers with the appropriate credentials and certifications. They're supported by wonderful site administrators and paraprofessionals, including in classroom instructional aides. They contain the materials and the instructional resources that are necessary, that are also based on the California Preschool Learning Foundations and frameworks. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Hofer.
Thank you. So with Ocean View offering multiple pre-kindergarten programs, parents can choose the best fit for their child and family's needs. So I inadvertently hit that. So here is an overview. We have California state preschool programs at College Oak in Westmont. Within those classrooms, we serve students who are age 3, 4, and 5. The ratio is 1 to 8. So for every 8 students, we have one classified educator or classified instructional assistant. We have 3 options: an 8 to 11 a.m. program, a 12 to 3 program, or a 7:15 to 4 p.m. program. Now, parents may choose to send their child to state preschool or TK if they're the right age. Now, in order to participate in state preschool, it does have an income qualification. Now, other families might choose tuition preschool. It's provided at both College and Westmont. And once again, it serves 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. It's an approximate 1 adult to every 12 students, and it is taught by a classified educator. So we have half-day programs, 8 to 11, or a full day, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And once again, parents have the choice to send their children to preschool instead of TK if the student is TK age. Now this one, it does have a monthly tuition paid by parents. And finally, we have TK. Now this year we have it at 7 or 8 of our sites, and we anticipate having it at least at 7 or 8 of our sites next year. And we think it may even be more. We're just unsure at this point. Now, serves the students who are 4 to 5 years old. Any student whose birthday falls between December 1st and March 1st is age eligible for TK. Now, once again, maybe you have a child who is, from September 1st to March 1st. So perhaps you have a child whose birthday's in August and you just can't decide whether kinder or TK is appropriate. Well, we honor and value parent choice. So this is a choice you can make. If you have a child who's TK age, but you think maybe you still want preschool, great. We're good with that too. Now, TK is kind of halfway between kindergarten and preschool when it comes to the logistics of it. So it is also a 1 adult to 12 student ratio. It's taught by a certificated teacher. And there are 2 time frames, 8 to 1:50 or 8:30 to 2:20. So it's the same schedule as our kindergarten through 3rd grade students at our elementary schools. So if you happen to have an older child at one of our schools and they're, all the way up to 3rd grade, then they have this exact same schedule. So once again, parents can choose TK or preschool or kinder or TK. It's free for all eligible students. It's just like being enrolled in kindergarten, 1st grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, something like that. So, a day in the life of kindergarten. I'm going to hand it over to our curriculum specialist, Shannon Moutry, who's going to tell us a little bit more specifics about what goes on during a regular school day.
Thank you, Dr. Hoper. In addition to being a member of the OVSD team, I'm also a proud OVSD parent. As a mom of 3 children who have participated in OVSD's wonderful pre-kindergarten program, I'm so excited to be here with you tonight and to speak a little bit about the day of the life of a preschool and transitional kindergarten classroom. Whole group activities in the pre-K classroom are lively and engaging. In addition to learning new content, these activities focus on building students' language development and a safe, respectful learning environment. During whole group activities, students share background knowledge and experiences while also developing social interaction skills, such as listening and taking turns. At the heart of pre-kindergarten learning are small group and center activities. These small groups better help the teacher differentiate learning and provide strategic instructional support. In addition, students have the opportunity to develop independent learning skills, relationship skills, and so much more. While to the pre-K students, these small groups may seem like play, any pre-K teacher can create a list a mile long with the academic and social emotional benefits of these activities. OVSD's pre-kindergarten programs provide students the opportunity to engage in a variety of structured and unstructured play experiences. Structured play includes activities where students follow directions or rules, such as puzzles and board games. But pre-kindergarten students also have ample unstructured playtime, where they can choose what interests them. A balanced blend of structured and unstructured play provides an environment that supports language and social emotional development. Children grow and thrive through positive peer interaction and social emotional development. OVSD's pre-kindergarten programs embed thoughtful and intentional discussions that support both academic growth and relationship skills. Pre-kindergarten classrooms also focus on practicing routines and developing life skills. Our littlest learners benefit from structure and routine. It helps create a sense of safety and predictability that ultimately supports children's learning. The routines and life skills developed in the pre-kindergarten program support both academic and social emotional growth, which helps students become lifelong learners. And finally, pre-kindergarten programs are filled with a variety of enrichment opportunities, including art, movement, music, and so much more. And as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's take a look at the day in the life of some OVSD pre-kindergarten students. For those families who are choosing between preschool or transitional kindergarten as the right fit for their family, some differentiating factors to keep in mind are the length of the school day, the student to teacher ratio, school site availability, and the age range of students enrolled in the class, with preschool supporting students ages 3 through 5 and TK supporting students ages 4 and 5. And with that, I'm happy to welcome back Dr. Hofer, who will share some information on OVSD's transitional kindergarten and kindergarten program.
So thank you, Shannon. You can see that if you have a TK eligible child, that you have options in both our very strong programs. So what if your child is eligible for kindergarten, but you're not sure which is the right fit? So TK is year 1 of a 2-year kinder program. Kindergarten is a 1-year kindergarten program. So as was pointed out earlier by Mrs. Hickman, transitional kindergarten uses foundational skills that really build into the kindergarten program and create success as students progress through the years. So TK, it's at most elementary sites. It's 4 and 5-year-olds. That's September 2nd to March 1st age range. It is a 1 to 12 student ratio, excuse me, hard to speak at this time of night, with a maximum of 24 students. It follows the same schedule as kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade students. And the focus is on the process of learning. It's really time to mature into that faster paced, more academic setting by honoring a child's developmental pace and progression of learning. Kindergarten is at all elementary sites. It's typically 5 and 6-year-olds. It's a 1 to 27 adult to student ratio. Now we do have aides in our kindergarten classroom, but for a short, small part of the day. It's the same schedule as our TK programs, our kinder, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. The focus is the process and product of learning and meaningful, balanced academic program. So it is much more academic than is our TK program that gives our children really the gift of time. So as you're considering what's best for your child and your family, it's that idea of process versus product. Students aren't asked or required to do some of the academics that they're required to do by the end of kindergarten. There's more students with less adults. Kindergarten is at every site. TK is at most sites. And once again, 4 and 5-year-olds or 5 and 6-year-olds. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute, and we're going to bring some of our experts. Kathy Blight, our preschool educator, Holly Hamasaki, one of our TK teachers. This year she's teaching kindergarten, but she knows both. And Miss Elisa Limke, who also has taught both TK and kindergarten, to answer some of those questions that we can see popping up in the Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I can see they've turned their cameras on. So let me go back. One of the logistical questions that was asked was, will this presentation be shared with parents? Yes, this presentation will be placed on our website. We will promote and make sure that folks have a chance to go back and revisit anything that they may have questions later about, as well as we'll provide some contacts. So if you want to talk to one of us, we're happy to help answer any specific questions you may have. At this time, we are not expanding our Spanish dual immersion program into TK. So our Spanish dual immersion program starts at kindergarten. Age difference between TK and preschool. So preschool, Kathy, do you want to talk a little bit about the students that are served by preschool?
Sure. I've been at Oakview for 20 years, and we service children 2 years, 9 months until 5. So we have a 3-year-old classroom, we have 4-year-old classrooms, and we do the same programs as the TK. We're doing the handwriting without tears. We're doing the same curriculum, the World of Wonder program. We have, because we are low income, we also have a focus on language at the preschool. So we do a lot of we service a lot of ESL students and get them ready language-wise.
Thank you so much. So as Kathy stated, 2 years, 9 months, up to 5-year-olds. Now, Holly, I know you have for many years, really recently taught TK. Do you want to talk a little bit about that age range and some of the differences?
Well, that will be starting in the fall. It will be September 2nd, and the kids will be birthdays between September 2nd and March 1st. So it's 4-year-old, 4.5, and then they'll become 5 throughout the school year. And we are so excited to have a little bit younger kids in our classroom, really excited about it, and working on getting them ready for kindergarten and having a great start academically, socially, and emotionally.
Fantastic. Elisa, how long have you taught kindergarten? Tell us about a little bit, since you principally serve 5 and 6-year-olds.
Kindergarten, it's fantastic. Kindergarten takes that pre-K and we run with it. So it's a lot of a quicker pace in kindergarten. So things that we're doing in kindergarten, we're working on reading, we're working on writing, and we're solving those math equations. A lot of working together on things and problem solving. And so one of the differences from TK to kinder is there is more of that product in addition to the process. So when they leave TK, they're ready to tackle kindergarten and the rest of their career. But I think kindergarten is that piece of foundation. They kind of go together and they build on each other. There's that TK foundation, and then kinder builds on top of that. So I love kindergarten.
I must admit, I was a former kindergarten teacher as well, so it's a special place in my heart. There is a question, will before and after school care be available for TK for really children who are 4? And the answer is yes. We do provide childcare through our Kids Club program for students who are 4. So we'll be doing some training and getting ready to bring those littles in so that we can really support them for that longer day. There's a question on when will we know, for instance, if Circleview has a TK program. When will we know? We're monitoring enrollment right now. We are trying to encourage our families to get enrolled so that we can be sure that we know how many classes to staff. In the ideal world, we have a TK class at every single school. That will be our goal. And so we're just hoping that the enrollment comes in and the interest is robust. What is required is the state requires TK through February 1st. We're including all the way to March 1st because we have historically provided something called early kindergarten. And so we're capturing our early kindergarten participants from the very first day of school. So we are continuing with that, and we're hopeful that we will have a classroom at every school site. So it is the way the program works. I know there's a question around, do you do 1 year of TK and then go into kindergarten? And the answer to that is yes. That is the progression. So while TK is considered the first year of the kindergarten program. Some students participate in a 2-year kindergarten program. Some students participate in a 1-year kindergarten program. Parents may choose to enroll in TK even if their child is old enough to enroll in kindergarten. We do that based on space available. And oftentimes we start working our way backwards by birth date. So we know there's oftentimes robust interest in summer birthdays participating in TK, and we welcome that. The last few years, I think we've been able to honor every TK request. There's a question around attendance. And Holly, can you talk a little bit about the importance of attendance? I know this is something that's a little bit different. Sometimes our families come in from preschool and think that attendance maybe isn't quite as important, but I was wondering if you'd talk a little bit about that.
Well, the first thing is that it sets the tone for how they feel, the parents feel, and the teachers feel about the education the child's receiving. So it gives a message that we care about their education, and this is how it's going to be throughout the rest of their lives as students, that they come to school, they're on time, and they're ready to learn. We also, because we have a curriculum we go through, we don't want children missing anything. And we don't want any learning not to happen. So we'd like them to be there, and also they don't want to miss any of the fun that we're having.
There we go. So we're going to bring on Mrs. Davis, our Director of Student Services, who's going to talk about enrollment and transfers. I do see there's a question around Kids Club. Kids Club is provided at most of our school sites from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. So Harborview specifically has a different kind of childcare program. It still has childcare. It's just not the Ocean View Kids Club program. And once again, I know there was a question. Our dual language immersion program begins in kindergarten. It will not begin in TK. So I'm going to share my screen and bring Mrs. Davis back to talk a little bit about enrollment and transfers. So let me get that screen shared. There we go.
Thank you. So you've heard about our wonderful programs in Ocean View, and you're ready to enroll your student. Did we skip the preschool? Okay, sorry. First of all, if you're enrolling your student in our preschool program, you would go to ovsd.org/preschools, and that registration opens in May, and that's for our state-funded and tuition-based preschools. If you're enrolling your student in either TK or kindergarten, there's a two-step process. That pre-enrollment first step begins with going online at air.ovsd.org, where you'll complete the pre-enrollment process, print out the confirmation, and then step 2 is you'll take that and the other documents that you need to your school of residence to complete the enrollment. So the other documents include proof of the student's age, which is typically a birth certificate, but there are other ways to provide proof of age, immunization records, and then 2 proofs of residency, which can be utility bills, something mailed to your home like a car registration, and an official document. If you're not certain what your school of residence in Ocean View is, you can go to our website at ovsd.org, click on the Families tab, go to Locate My School, and when you get to the school locator, you'll type in your address, and then the school locator will tell you what your elementary school of residence is. Most of our families do choose to have their students attend their school of residence, but some families choose to request a transfer to other schools in Ocean View for personal reasons. If your student is currently a TK student going into kindergarten next year, and you would like to request they attend a different school than your school of residence, you would submit an intra-district transfer, and that window is open until March 31st, and that's available online. If your student is coming into kindergarten next year and they're new to Ocean View, you can submit an intra-district transfer online when you enroll your student. Either one of those ways, for our TK students who are here now, our new incoming kinders, you'll receive an email from the Student Services Office letting you know about the status of your intra-district transfer request. If you are living outside of Ocean View School District and you would choose to have your student come into Ocean View, we welcome you in. You also have a 2-step process, and that starts with your district of residence. Where you're living, you find out when they're allowing you to request an inter-district transfer out of the district. Do that as soon as possible. Submit that, and your district of residence may forward that to our district or have you bring it to us along with your proof of residency. And then you'll also find out about the status of your inter-district transfer to come in from the Student Services Office in the late spring. So after enrolling and making sure that you're attending the school that you're choosing, you're ready to start school in September. Our schools typically start the Wednesday after Labor Day. We don't have the official calendar set up for next year, but we do typically start the Wednesday after Labor Day. So we'll see your littles in September. Okay, and Dr. Hofer.
Thank you. So I see we have some more questions. I'm going to once again stop sharing my screen. I see some additional questions. So we're going to have Mrs. Davis back on the line, Director of Student Services, for any enrollment questions. We have Sue Broderson, our Principal and Special Assignment, who oversees both our preschool programs and our Kids Club. We're going to bring back Kathy Blythe, our preschool educator, Holly Hamasaki, our TK and kinder teacher, Elisa Limke, our kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Hickman, our Director of Teaching and Learning, and Shannon Moutry, our curriculum specialist. So let's see what other questions we have. One is around the age range for TK. So students turn 5 between September 2nd and March 1st. So the student turns 5 somewhere between that time frame in order to participate this year in TK. I'm gonna look to Mrs. Davis, who's in charge of our nurses. Are there school nurses on the College View campus? And what happens for our children who have chronic or medical conditions?
We have a health tech on every campus for either 4 or 5 hours a day, and a nurse assigned to each campus, and they're there as needed to assist with any medical needs that are available, a dispensing of medication. There's always someone on campus available, in addition to our office staff who have training.
Fantastic, thank you. Mrs. Broderson, what time do students get dropped off or picked up for childcare? I know the program is open from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Can you tell us a little bit about what the expectation is for Kids Club?
Well, students can get dropped off from 6:30 on, and then they're brought to their classrooms at 8 or 8:30, whichever your start time is. There's activities in the afternoon. They're picked up from the Kids Club staff and brought to the Kids Club area. They have activities in the classroom. They have activities outside the classroom. They also do homework help and work on their Chromebooks if they have homework with that.
And students can choose, parents can choose. Students don't have to attend before school.
Right.
Maybe they don't attend all 5 days. It's really our Kids Club childcare program. All we ask is that there's open communication between our Kids Club staff at that site so that they know who to expect every day. We certainly do not want to assume a child is with an adult and turn out not to have that to be the case. But if, for instance, you have your child never goes in the morning, fantastic, that works just fine. For instance, if your child never attends on Wednesdays, no problem. We just have open communication because the safety of your children is of top importance. Now I'm going to look to our experts, Holly and Elisa. If a child is progressing typically academically, but needs some more support with social emotional skills, what do you recommend, TK or kindergarten?
I would say TK.
I agree.
Yes.
And are you able to offer challenge?
Absolutely.
Can you challenge a child who's on track academically, but maybe a little bit has the wiggles?
I have to share that I am a November birthday that didn't have TK, and I was reading, and my parents chose to give me that gift of time and give me that extra year. And I thanked them when I was older, because how you see yourself in school a lot of times is how you see yourself in life. And I've talked to a lot of parents through the years that went through this struggle and dilemma, and I have not yet had a parent come to me that made that decision to go TK and ever regretted it.
You know
Agreed.
what? I would agree. I do not know anyone that has regretted TK for a kinder eligible student. There's a question around wait lists for TK. There won't be wait lists, but there are a set number of spots at each site. So that's why we ask first, second, third choice in order to ensure, try to get students as close to their homes as possible in filling classrooms. Now, there's also a question on what happens if after that happens that a class opens, and can a parent change their request? So Mrs. Hickman, I know you help out with TK. Can you talk a little bit about how that works since it's not offered at every school?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you please repeat the question?
Around TK enrollment, if a site opens up after the fact and a parent didn't choose that school as one of their top 3, how do we handle that?
Yeah, so basically we have a transitional kindergarten placement form. So when you go to your school of residence and you enroll for kinder and you're interested in TK, you will have a form and you will list your choices, like your first, second, and third choice. And then if something opens up, we make those phone calls. We keep a list, a priority list, and they, really based on space availability. If there is room, then Lilia Bernardo in our teaching and learning department, she calls parents, she offers those placements, and that has been kind of a common practice. So as Dr. Hofer said, we'll have to wait and see where all of our programs will be based on the enrollment, but we try to accommodate all of our parent requests. And if we're not able to accommodate your first request, then we look to that second choice. And then when placements open up, we have a priority list based on when you completed your paperwork.
Thank you so much. There's a question, is there an assessment to get into TK? There is. It's really age eligible and choice for families, because oftentimes it's more about really about that gift of time and maturity, and a lot less about academics. Sometimes it's that, but most often it's a kiddo that has the wiggles that really isn't ready for the structure. I'm going to even say I'm going to loosely call it the pressure of kindergarten, that needs that extra year of time. There is a question around Aries account and enrollment. A family made the account to enroll the TK student, completed the process in person today, and now it appears that that information is gone.
I think that might be a phone call to our office, and we can get online at the same time and have someone look at it and see what's going on.
Okay. So, Mrs. Davis, can you give us your phone number?
The district phone number, 847-2551, and call extension 1316.
Fantastic.
May I just add that also when you enroll your TK, you're actually enrolling for kindergarten. And then the school office manager, when you take your paperwork into the school, then TK is a -1. So you're enrolling for kinder, she confirms the birth date, and then your school office manager will make the appropriate placement, and you will also fill out that form with your preference. So that could be part of the problem as well. And then I noticed there were other questions about my child is age appropriate for kinder, but I would like to request TK. And there is a process for that also. And again, that placement, since your child would be age eligible for kinder, it would be a decision based on space and availability. But again, if you're age appropriate for kinder, you would like TK, you would complete 2 forms, the request for TK as well as your preference for placement.
Fantastic. So there's a question around locations. So historically, for the last 4 or 5 years, we have had TK at College, Harbor, Hope, Lake, Oak, Star, Village, and in prior years, Westmont, on and off. Now, our early kinder program the last few years has been at Golden. The one location we have not in the near recent past held TK was at Circle, and that was because we didn't have enough classrooms. So we do anticipate having a robust interest in Circle, and barring not having enough classrooms, hopefully we'll be able to offer it there, because I know there's some real interest in Circle. Mrs. Davis, can you repeat the timeline for interdistrict transfers open on what day?
On March 1st, you can begin submitting your interdistrict transfer to come into Ocean View.
Fantastic. And when do they hear from you?
Later in the spring, you'll be informed via a letter if you've that you've been accepted. We want everybody to come in.
Fantastic. So they should reach out to their home district right now.
Reach out to your home district, find out when they'll start accepting your transfer, because they need to release you from their district, and they'll either forward that to us or they'll have you bring it to us.
Fantastic. Is Kids Club free? Kids Club comes with a cost. However, we are beginning to explore a state-funded childcare program that we anticipate rolling out next year. There will be income eligibility requirements to it, and we are not at this time yet able to provide much more information than that, but it does include all TK through grade 6 students who are income eligible. So there's a little bit of income eligibility. Additionally, there are other services, is that what you'd call them, Mrs. Broderson, who can help with childcare tuition?
Correct. There's agencies that families can reach out to get basically subsidized childcare, and we're a provider for that.
Fantastic. Now, Holly, we have a parent who's asking, how much do TK students interact with the rest of the elementary population?
Let's see. Well, most of the time they're on, at least at our site at College View, that we have a kindergarten yard that they are with the kindergarten students during recess time and at lunchtime. Due to sometimes the large amounts of students, sometimes we've been kind of having them come out at different times, so there's room enough for them at the tables and the lunch benches. But overall, it's mostly recess and lunchtime, and that's about it. And then sometimes we might have some activities here and there together throughout the year, but we're pretty much to ourselves. And then of course we get to go to library, we do fun things, we always go to assemblies and all those kinds of things also at the school and participate along with all the other children.
Yeah, I that's what I tend to see, is that depending on how big kind of the kindergarten TK playground is the number of kiddos that are out, but every school has a designated playground with the appropriate size equipment and toys and such for our 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds. And they then kind of, I'm gonna use the word graduate onto the big kid playground that has bigger climbing structure, bigger toys. And so we do keep our littles together. Our preschoolers spend most of their time really just with preschool. So I know that Mrs. Broderson used to be the principal at Westmont. How often did preschoolers, they go to the library? How much did they interact with the rest of the school?
They really didn't interact very much. They did have their own play area. They do go to the library. They do go to assemblies, but they really don't have a lot of opportunity to go into the classrooms. And in the last 2 years, it's been very restricted. Maybe in the future, that'll be a little bit more peer buddy kind of thing where they might have reading buddies, but we just haven't gotten there yet.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Now, Mrs. Hickman, when are parents notified about their TK site? Oops, you're muted.
Thank you. So typically we start notifying parents anywhere like end of April. So we call that late spring.
Fantastic. Thank you. So I do see that we have a parent who's rethinking kindergarten, is now thinking TK. Yeah, give the homeschool a call and they'll talk you through what you need to get done in order to indicate your preference for TK. Not a problem. Now I see that we have a student, which is very common. We have a kiddo that has a individualized education program in preschool. And that does carry over into TK or kindergarten. Our special education staff serves 3-year-olds through 8th grade. And so we have very highly skilled folks. There will be a transition meeting to help prepare you as a parent for what to expect for the next placement for your child. And then it looks like maybe we're getting to the end of our questions about how much of the time of the day, excuse me, in TK is structured versus free play. Holly, can you answer that?
Yes, I would say we have recess is about 20 minutes, and lunch is about 30 minutes of play, approximately. And then we also have a choice time, which is a time where they can go to painting center, playhouse, blocks, all those types of fun things that they get to do a lot of role playing and interacting with each other. And that is probably about it, dependent on the teacher and the days, 20 to 30 minutes a day of that. And then we also have, let's see, different times in the morning time where they have independent centers and working together in fun interactive centers with each other. But that's about the free play is about that. I think so. Dependent, but check with your teacher in the start of the year and they have a schedule and they'll be able to tell you those things exactly.
So there's a little bit of structured time, or excuse me, a little bit of fully free play, a little bit of like structured choice time, and then a little bit of structured time. Kathy, could you talk a little bit about preschool and the kind of the differences between structured, free choice and maybe structured choices? What is your day like?
We follow the Eckers, the environmental and classroom program. So our children get, they have about 15 or 20 minutes of instructional time, which is like our circle times, reading a story, that kind of a thing. And then they also get about 15 to 20 minutes of table time, which is our small groups, where we do either a project or whatever our focus is on the day that has to do with the curriculum. They get approximately 50 to 55 minutes of free choice time. There are centers throughout the room. We have approximately 11 centers that are for science, math, manipulatives, blocks, construction, art, and the children, dramatic play. The children can go to those different areas and they have free choice during those different areas. And there's always different academic things going on, things that we put in and take out, depending on what our themes are or our curriculum is based on. And then they have a half hour of playground time outside. And those things, that's always a little bit different as well. We have a lot of different things going on out there.
Fantastic. Ms. Hickman, when will parents be notified if their child is accepted into the Spanish dual language immersion program?
Yeah, a lot of our placement decisions, whether it be gate placement or TK placement or the DLI, dual language immersion, we're looking at that late August, April, so late spring. So most likely once all the enrollments and the requests have been pretty much gathered, then we'll make those placements and then start with phone calls and email as well, notification.
Thank you. So there's a question around Harborview offers TK, has historically for many years provided TK. Preschool is provided at College View, Oakview, and Westmont. Now I see a parent who's a little bit unsure about TK because of being of kinder age eligible students in the class. Let me reassure you, the program is developed as a developmentally appropriate program. And while we challenge for maybe kinder eligible students, it is based on the 60-month preschool foundations. So the program is very developmental. It's at a a slower pace, if you will, academically. There is more time to socialize, to interact. There is a little more structured choice time involved. So I know there were some questions around that. Now, Holly, how much time is spent on Chromebooks in the TK program?
You know, we typically, last year was a little different, and I don't have TK now, so I know that things are changing a little bit with the programs that we have. But I would say no more than like 20 minutes is usually I would daily, and sometimes maybe one day we wouldn't do it a week when on a Wednesday or something like that when we wouldn't have time for all of the activities, but about 20 minutes at the most, no more than that.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of Chromebook use in our TK programs. We have a couple of, we have ST Math and Lexia to help with reading, but it's really not a lot at all. Now, how much time is spent outdoors, would you say?
Well, I think that varies also a little bit, but we do, you know, recess and lunchtime, and we also have PE time too. So there's quite a bit of time outside. And
depending on the site, I also sometimes see instructional groups outside as well.
Yes, yeah.
There's tables out there, and it's not uncommon, particularly when we have our parent volunteers who are right outside the door, you know, or if it's a louder activity or something like that. So I think we've gotten through our questions. We are super excited that you are interested in our pre-kindergarten programs, whether you choose preschool, transitional kindergarten, or kindergarten. We're sure you'll be pleased. And we are here to help and happy to help out in whatever way you see fit. Once again, if you call the district office, we can put you in contact with either the teaching and learning department, where Shannon works and Christy work, if it's like programmatic questions. Our student services department and Barb Davis helps out with really transfer questions and enrollment. And as our key is at accepts the phone call, and she is there to help. So she'll point you in the right direction. Don't worry a bit. There is no wrong question. We're happy to help. If you change your mind and you know you enrolled in kinder and now you're thinking TK, we'll help you do that. If you roll in TK and change your mind for preschool, we'll help you with that. So we just want to make sure that you end up in the right place. And so we are so glad that you were with us tonight to hopefully get your questions answered. And if not, we're here to help. So with that, have a wonderful evening. So long. And thank you to our fabulous staff who are here and helped out. So have a good evening.